I hope everyone is doing good. So,
Yes, Vidya.
yeah, and so I hope like previous students is also joined in this batch. So I thought to I thought to explain each and every point in depth. So that's why I have added all people together, and I would like to give little in depth content to all of you. And another thing is second opportunity to learn like basics again, so that you will be little fast to wrap up. And so I would like to talk about openings in performance testing first of all. So in coming to market, the openings are very high compared to the other technologies. For example, we can take automation testing, or we can take any development. Okay, so these performance testing are having more demand in the market compared to the other technologies. Okay, and another thing was, if you learn performance testing in the first time, okay, and if you enter into the software company, so the same way the process will be never changes. So if you can take example, if
Vidya, can you
you
share me your screen?
actually, I would like to speak few minutes and then I would like to share my screen, Manjunath. Yeah. So that's about openings in the market. So for example, if we take 100 openings in the market, okay, only we are having 50 employees available for performance testing. So that much demand we are having, and lot many openings there in the market about performance testing. And another thing I would like to say is, after this training, definitely I will never remove the group, and I would like to share few references from my perspective as well without any charges. And very huge calls are there in the company. Actually, for nowadays huge calls is there. Even 4 plus 3 plus experience is also having more calls compared to the previous. And again, recession is also started, but the demand of performance testing was not at all decreased. So another thing I would like to say is, I would like to include each and every point from the basics. Starting from the basics, I would like to include, and I would like to provide you in-depth content from basics. So whoever joined to learn the performance testing for first time, they will also easily learn and quickly understand with my training. And you can easily crack the interviews as well with my training. So that's the main thing I would like to say. And another thing I would like to include is, in job futures of this performance testing was very high. So if you learn performance testing, if you will join in any company, the future will be very good to learning of this performance testing. That thing I would like to include. Okay, and so let me start this. I would like to start from basics class. So let me share my screen. So not only the performance testing training, here I would like to include engineering level aspect. So that is the main thing I would like to say one more time. And each and every point, okay, whoever not know about performance testing also, they can easily wrap up and easily learn. I would like to go slowly, I don't want to go it up fastly. So we can go slowly and we can learn in-depth content each and every point. So today I would like to explain about basics. Okay, so what is performance testing, what is the purpose, and why we need performance testing. I think all these things we have already covered in previous classes also, but again I would like to repeat it again in depth way with examples also. And I hope everyone will understand English. and I will also use Telugu in between. No need to worry about that. Okay, and if you have any questions, doubts, you can stop me and you can ask me. If you need any more information, I will explain and I will clear all your doubts as well. And I'm interested to conduct mock interviews in this session, like every week or every 6 days. I would like to conduct a mock interviews till whatever we have covered the classes. Okay, so that is one more thing I would like to say. And another thing was I would like to share the interview questions as well. As this part of training, I would like to include that, like all the company's interview questions, I mean to say. Okay, wherever whoever attended the interviews and wherever I have attended the interviews, I would like to gather all the information and I will paste you the questions as well as the answers, all the things I would like to share as part of this training. And I will also share the documents and whatever I have done few previous company um, organization real time project scripts as well, I would like to share those as well. And I would like to show you the scripting part in real time application also, demo and real time both. And I would like to give you a practice classes also. All these things are part of this real time training. And if possible, I will try to set up a real time project if possible. I'm trying for configuration. If everything goes good, I will give you like real time project so that you can also practice it. That is my whole idea. And let's start our class. So I would like to say, like, what is performance testing? So performance testing, it's a one of the software testing, and in this testing we have to check the speed and the response time, stability, how the reliability of the application, and what is the scalability of the application, and what are the resource usage. Resource usage means like if any one particular application, okay, if they hit that application under the load, so for example 20 users or 30 users, if they hits that Flipkart application or Amazon application at a time, so we can check all these elements. What is the speed and what is the response time, and how was the stability was, and how was the scalability was. As you all know that, right? Application speed means, for example, I would like to buy any one mobile in the Flipkart application, we can say. So if I buy that particular mobile phone, okay, so if I would like to click add to cart or buy to cart, if I click those elements, how speed that application was. So that is the speed of the application and how quickly it was response. We can call it as a speed. And scalability means like how many number of users can hit that application or can hit that particular product. That is the scalability. And another thing was stability. So stability means definitely if 20 users load is there on Flipkart application, it will be fast again. And if it was 30 users, little bit slowness of the application we can understand, right? So that is called as a stability. If more users, like hundreds and thousands of the users can use that application at that time also, we can see the stability, how the application was, like it is responding fastly or slowly and how it was. So that is the stability of the application. So by using this is the overall performance testing. So by identifying these elements, we will do the performance testing. Okay, in coming classes we can see it in detail, like uh, what is this stability, reliability in practical we can see in coming classes. And I would like to explain you about the difference between engineering and performance testing, right? So I think you people all are attending in the interviews, right? So in that interviews also you are facing this question, what is performance testing and what is performance engineering and what is the difference between this. So the performance testing is just we need to test the application, and just we need to give the report, like after test execution we will get the results, right? Like page is there loading this much time, all these things. Just we can collect that, and just we will send that report. That's it. The purpose of performance testing is that's it. But performance engineering is we need to identify, we need to give the recommendations. For example, if you identified any cpu usage, okay, if you are identified like cpu was more, if the cpu was more, why it's increasing, why the cpu was more, we need to analyze, and we will provide, for example, due to this reason cpu was more. You need to provide that recommendations to the developer or the client. So that is the purpose of performance engineering. So this question was the very important question in the performance testing interviews. Okay, and another thing was objective. What is the objective? Why we need to do this performance testing? The objective, the purpose of performance testing is what? So the main purpose, the main goal is like to get the efficient output from the application. Okay, like for example, you have logged in to Gmail account. Okay, after click on login, if there is nothing is showing in the page, what you will feel? Definitely the page was, the server was down, or there is nothing is there, the site was not good, you will feel like that, right? So that is the main goal we need to check. Like we need to evaluate the output of the application, whatever the output we are expecting, it is getting or not. And another thing, speed, how speed that application was, and how much data we can transfer. For example, you are filling one form, when you click on submit, your data will be stored in somewhere, right? Some place. How much data we can like transfer from one place to another place, or how much data we can store in the database, and how much network bandwidth will be there, and what is the number of users, how much memory is using, how much cpu is using, and how much the response time was. So the main goal is by we need to identify all these elements, and we can propose some recommendations to the client. So that is the main objective of this performance testing. And why we need to do performance test? We have different type of tests, right? Manual testing, functional. Why we need to do this performance? Why we need to do is, for example, you are trying to buy any mobile. Okay. If you click on add to cart, if the page is loading for not only 1 second, it may be more than 5 seconds, definitely 7% of the loss in a conversation, definitely, right? So 1,000 users are trying to buy, it was continuously loading, and another user was unable to buy at all, right? So definitely there will be a loss in the conversation. And again, page views will be definitely decreased, right? If you can say example, Flipkart and Amazon. Okay, so Flipkart was very efficient than Amazon. You can try to buy any mobile in Amazon. Always it will get 404 error, 504 error, bad request, server down. But in the sale time, big billion sale time also, Flipkart application will never server down because of the performance. That's the reason the less users will use Amazon and more users will use Flipkart. So definitely the page views will be reduced, right? Compared to Amazon, Flipkart has more views, page views. So definitely the customer satisfaction will be decreased. That is the purpose of this performance testing. So to avoid all these things, we will do performance testing. Definitely, if the user satisfaction will decreases, then definitely a loss will be huge. Okay, so for example, if a website, if we can say example, Amazon website per day $100 will get. the amount. Okay, so if due to this lack of customer satisfaction, they will lose the sales of 2.5 million. So that's why we to increase that rating, to increase the customer satisfaction, we will do the performance test. And by using the performance test, what we'll get? So definitely application performance, to we can easily predict, and we can easily detect the bottlenecks, and we can also increase the scalability, page speed, all the things we can increase. That is why we need to do the performance testing. That is the performance testing purpose. And any doubts still here? If you have any doubts, you can stop and ask immediately. And if I missed anything also, you can please.
The main purpose of performance testing using?
That's the reason I'm saying, right? To increase the page speed and to increase the customer for example, as I said, right, Amazon is there. So 10,000 users are hitting while mobile phone selling. Okay, while selling the time of the mobile phone, 10,000 users are hitting that mobile phone. At that time, what is happening? The page is continuously loading, and you are seeing that 500 server error. There is no server down, and timeout error. Those things you will see, right? To avoid that, to avoid that, by we need to do the performance test, and we can say, okay, this much users only your application supports. And by doing the performance test, we can also estimate the speed, how speed the application, in how many seconds we can see that page. We can determine all these things, and we can also identify the issues, due to which issue the page will be slow, due to which particular issue the page speed is low. We can provide that information to the client. That is the purpose we need to do the performance testing. Any other doubts? Is your doubt clear?
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
The main concept was avoid the business losses.
correct. Definitely, as I said right here, if the website will earn daily $100, right? If the $100 per day means, definitely you can lose 2.5 million sales always. So the purpose is like business loss only. So to increase the business and to increase the customer satisfaction, we will do the performance test. And we are having different type of performance testings in the market, like load test, stress endurance, spike, volume, scalability, and capacity test, baseline test, benchmark test. Different type of tests we are having in this performance test. So in coming classes, I would like to explain in depth, like what is load testing and what is stress testing, when we have to do using load runner, how to do load testing, stress testing, and how to using Jmeter, how to do this stress, load, endurance, all these things. In coming classes we will see in depth. So these are the common performance problems we can identify using the performance testing. Okay, like,
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes.
Uh, this performance testing, how it is different from engineering testing? Because
Yes,
there are so many types of performance testing, and engineering testing is also evaluating the reasons, right?
correct. So performance testing means that testing types was same. Testing types never changes. Okay, load test, stress test, spike test, volume test, all the testing types was same in performance testing and engineering. The
Okay.
main difference is, he in performance testing, just we are running the test, and whatever the results we got, we will share that results directly. We will
Okay.
not monitor anything. Just we
Okay.
have identified this issue, and we can send that observations to the client. Okay,
Okay.
in engineering means, what we have to do is, why we are getting this issue, we will analyze in little deeper level, like we have to tune it.
Okay.
Okay, why is the CPU is increasing more?
Okay.
If the CPU is more, at what situation it's more? Is
Mhm.
there any thread dumps is happening, or in thread dumps which thread is in which state, due to which state that particular CPU was more. We
Okay.
need to identify that issue, and we will provide, due to this many users are in deadlock situation, this CPU was more, we will give that recommendations to the client, so that what he will do is he will simply increase the CPU size, or he will change that, he will decrease the user load, or he will add more CPUs, more processors. Based on that, he will move the next step.
So more or less, it is next second level of performance testing.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So due to this performance engineering, the user experience will be more compared to performance testing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Can I move to the next step, or any questions? Yeah. And next thing was the common performance problems. Regularly, what are the problems we will observe in the performance testing or engineering aspects? Okay, the main reason was long loading time. For example, if I enter www.flipkart.com, the page is continuously loading. After 1 minute or 2 minutes, it will start showing the contents or the categories. So that is the long loading time. And poor response time. Poor response time means, definitely if page will loads longer time, the response time is also poor, right? And scalability, as I said, right, if the more users will hit that application, the scalability will definitely decreasing. That is the poor scalability. And another bottlenecks was like server side bottlenecks, I can say: CPU utilization, memory utilization, network utilization, and is there any operating system limitations, and disk usage. These are all the common bottlenecks we have identified in the performance engineering level aspect. So in coming classes, we can also see these elements. What is this and what is that? So how to do performance testing? So how we need to do the performance test? To do any performance test in any company, any organization, whatever it may be. Is this a demo application? Is this a what I can say, real time application? Whatever it may be. To do the performance test, we need a dedicated environment. That is the first important point. Why we need a dedicated test environment means, if you do in production environment, or if you do in any automation environment, definitely the developers or the automation testers daily basis code is changed. So if the code was changed in daily basis, definitely our scripts will fails. So to do performance testing, we need a dedicated environment, and that environment will never touch the developers and the functional testers. That's why we need to use this testing environment. We need to identify like which testing environment is suitable for performance testing. So I can suggest dedicated environment uh, is the best testing environment to do the performance testing. Okay, and in this testing, in this dedicated environment, again we need to configure like hardware, software, network, all these things we need to configure same like production. Production means real time. In real time, what are the configurations is there? We need to design our dedicated environment same as like that. That is the first thing. And second thing was like identifying the performance acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria means, as I said, like throughput. Throughput means how much fast we are getting the response from the server. For example, I have typed like www.flipkart.com. How much fast, how much quickly that server is responding, that is the throughput. And response times, how speed the response times. And resource allocation means how many users are using that application. All these things comes under acceptance criteria. Okay, that is the second thing we need to do performance testing, we need that information. And third one is planning and designing the performance test. For example, we need a use cases, right? Without use cases or without script things, we cannot plan, or we cannot design, or we cannot run any test. That is the very very important one. So we need a main thing was we need all the possible test cases. We can call it as a business critical scenarios in terms of performance testing. So in terms of performance testing, we can call it as a business critical scenarios. These are all the use cases. Okay. So we need that use cases, and designing in the sense the use cases. Okay. To get that use cases, and we need to simulate in variety of users. For example, simultaneous users, concurrent users, unique users, like that. Simultaneous means one after the other. Concurrent means randomly, and unique means only a single user. There is no duplication of user will allowed. So based on this test data and all the metrics gathered, we will design the test scenario and we will design the planning. In this we can get all this information. And next fourth step was configuring the test environment. Okay, we need to prepare the test environment, right? Before running any test, we need to prepare, like CPU should be this much, memory should be this much. These things will be done by infrastructure team in the organization. Okay, and what are the other tools we need to run the test? Okay, all the things comes under configuration test environment. And another next step was like implementing the test design. Implement the test design means like this many users I need to run the test for this much hour. Okay, it was a load test, or it was a stress, or it was endurance, any type of test. That is the implementation of test design. Using that we can do the performance test. And next thing was run the test. Once we design the test, we need to execute the test, right? That is the running of the test. And once we run the test, what we have to do, we need to analyze the test results, and we need to tuning in the sense again performance engineering only. Okay, we need to we need to identify the issue, we need to provide the recommendations, and based on the recommendations we need to again execute the test. Okay, for example, my response times was more. Okay, so my due to that response times was more, my memory was more. So I suggested client to increase the memory size, RAM size or something. So if he increase the RAM size, and we can again running the test, and we can say that yes, due to this your issue was resolved, like that. So all these things we need to do in the performance testing. So these are the main 7 steps we need to use to do the performance test. Any doubts here before going to next slide?
Yeah, madam. Can you differentiate the throughput and response times?
Yeah, sure. So throughput means, for example, I have entered www.flipkart.com. I have entered that URL in the browser. So if I enter that URL, what it will do? It hits the server. Okay, and we get the response from the server, right? For example, the page. Let me show you practically. Yeah. So the page is loaded and I got the response, right? This is called my response page. This is called a throughput. Okay. Response from the server is called a throughput. And I will show you the response time. Okay. So here you need to just you can click F12 on your browser. Here you can easily see the response time. Okay. So for example, I have hit www.flipkart.com here. So I got the response, right? Response page. That is called the throughput. And here we got some backend requests, right? These are all called the backend request. So how much time is taken to get this particular 83 request. For example, here it's shown like 22.64 seconds. This is called the response time. Okay, this is called the response time. And if you hit this particular server, what is the page we are getting? That is the response from the server, and this is called the response time. You cleared your doubt? Any doubts? Did you understand? I'm not sure whoever asked that question.
Generally get what we get from the browser when we hit the server, that is an throughput, and
Yes.
when we get the all the requested, that comes
Yes.
as a response time, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Any questions before going to next slide? Okay. And what type of application we need to do the performance test? Which type of applications we need to do? We are having different applications, right? You are having Microsoft Excel in your system, and you are having some, what we can call, calculator is also there in your system, and Outlook also there, and different type of applications there in your system, and browser. What type of applications we need to do the performance test? Simply client server based systems only we can do the performance test. For example, www.flipkart.com. Okay. So when we enter that URL, it will goes to the server, and we get the response from the server. So that is the client server based system. Okay. So let me show you the example. So this one we can call. This is also one of the system application only. But for this calculator, is there any client or server?
No.
No. So we cannot test this type of applications as a performance testing. Simply. Okay, not only this, and Word also we have, and another thing, Notepad. Notepad also there. If you can open this, there is no client and there is no server. This is the system, only single system based application. Okay, so for this type of applications, we cannot do the performance test, and we are having lot of websites in our web, right? I can say amazon.com. So when I type this amazon.com, it hits the server, and we got this response from the server. So these type of applications we will do the performance testing. Clear, right? And what type of metrics we can see in performance testing? Like in monitoring purpose, what type of parameters we can observe? Okay, whatever I'm saying in the class, you cannot think it as a basics. All these questions are very important in interviews. You can also um, remember, and you can also try to analyze it practically. These are very important questions for interviews. And so all these parameters are very important to get the metrics. Okay, what is the processor usage? Processor usage means, processor means like CPU, right? How much time spends, like which state, as I told you, right? So is there any threads are executing, or is there any threads are in ideal state on that CPU? In coming classes, we can also, I will also explain in depth level about these threads and thread dumps, all these things. So this is the purpose of like usage of the processor. And memory usage also we can add, I mean this is also one of the metric. So like how much amount of physical memory is available and how much are used. Another metric was disk time, like how much amount of, yes. Okay. So how much amount of disk, I mean disk time, how much amount of disk was busy and to read or to write any program or any request, how much disk time was utilizing. So we can also identify the bandwidth, like for example, to hit that flip.com application, how much bits per second is network is using. And private bytes also we can check, like number of bytes which are allocated and we cannot share that to another process. That is the private bytes, right? Private, we can also call it as a confidentiality information. That is how much bytes are allocating and how much committed memory, like, and how much memory is using per second, and is there any page faults. Page faults means like, for example, we are doing some actions on the application, so how many overall rate of that pages, like is there any faulty pages or we are getting. Faulty pages means like whatever we are expecting, that outputs are not getting in that page. So that is the faulty pages. So is there are getting any such type of pages. And what are the CPU interrupts, means like hardware interrupts, like processor is receiving any alerts every time while running the test. And is there any disk queue length. Disk queue length means like how many requests are reading and how many are writing. Queued means stuck to somewhere. Okay, so that we can also get that length. And network output queue length, all the parameters like response time, throughput, and maximum active sessions. Maximum active sessions means how many users are in active state. That is the maximum active sessions. And hit ratios also. Hit ratios means like number of SQL statements, right? For example, some queries you are entering. So which query was lengthy and which query was taking longer time. Those things are called hit ratios. And hits per second also we can identify. Hits per second means whatever we are entering. Sorry, in between my network was disconnected. So number of requests sent to the client, sent by the client to the server. For example, I'm adding cart to login, selecting the item, buying the item, all the things. So number of hits made by the client to the server. And rollback segment. Rollback segment means like amount of data will be rollback at that any point. For example, if I'm trying to enter anything like some information, it's getting rollback again. So that is the rollback segment. And is there any database locks? Database locks means like, is there any tables or is there any database needs or monitoring, or we are able to checking, is there any locking is happening for the tables, or is there any top weights. Top weights means like at what point longer time is waiting, at which page, how we are dealing that from memory. That is the top weights. And another thing was thread counts, like how many number of threads are measured, like how many are running, how many are active, how many are blocked, is there any garbage collection issues we have. All these things we can check using this performance testing. Okay.
విద్య
Yeah. Yes.
థ్రెడ్ కౌంట్స్ అది ఒకసారి మళ్ళీ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయవా తెలుగులో ప్లీజ్
ఏంటిది.
థ్రెడ్ కౌంట్
సారీ,
థ్రెడ్
ఏంటిది.
కౌంట్స్ థ్రెడ్ కౌంట్స్ విద్య
Okay, okay. Thread count. Let me bigger the screen. Okay. Thread counts
All
means, okay. Someone is asking.
all these metrics will be generated through Jmeter or any other plugins we need to.
No, no, no. Not
Mm.
only the Jmeter, not only the load runner. Using Jmeter and load runner, we can generate all these metrics. Few metrics are from like we can call it as a client side metrics. Like for example, response time, throughput, maximum active sessions, hits per second, all these things. Okay. These are all
Okay.
will be generated by client side, like Jmeter or the load runner analysis. And remaining things, disk queue length, network output queue length, rollback segment, deadlocks, I mean database locks, deadlocks, stop waits, thread counts, all these elements will be
APM.
coming from the server and APM tools. Correct.
Okay, we through APM tools we can monitor all these things.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would like, yeah, I will answer your question, Bhavani. So థ్రెడ్ కౌంట్ అంటే ఏంటంటే ఎంతమంది యూజర్స్ రన్నింగ్ లో ఉన్నారు అంటే లైక్ ఏదన్నా ఒక ప్రోడక్ట్ ని బై చేస్తున్నారు. ఓకే, అండ్ ఆ ప్రోడక్ట్ ని బై చేస్తూ మధ్యలో కొంతమంది ఏం చేస్తారంటే లాగిన్ అవుతారు, యాడ్ టు కార్ట్ కొట్టి అలాగే వదిలేస్తారు. Okay, means that is active state. They would like interested to buy, but they are not clicking on buy, just they are on active state, they are not buying anything. That is the active state. And running state ante already they are interested to buy and adding the card details, all the things. ఓకే, అంటే ఏదైనా ప్రోడక్ట్ ని యాడ్ టు కార్ట్ చేయడము, బై చేసిన తర్వాత కార్డ్ డీటెయిల్స్, అడ్రస్ డీటెయిల్స్ ఎంటర్ చేయడం. అండ్ వెయిటింగ్ స్టేట్ అంటే వెయిటింగ్ లో ఉన్నట్టు, అంటే ఓకే ఈ పేజ్ లోడ్ అవుతుంది కదా, వి విల్ వెయిట్ ఫర్ సమ్ టైమ్. దట్ ఈస్. సో ఈ థ్రెడ్ కౌంట్స్, ఈ థ్రెడ్ డంప్స్ ఇవన్నీ కాన్సెప్ట్ ఇస్ అ డిఫరెంట్ కాన్సెప్ట్. సో ఐ విల్ కవర్ ఇన్ ద టైమ్ ఆఫ్ మానిటరింగ్ ఇన్ డెప్త్. Okay, different type of thread dumps we have, all the things. And final conclusion of the performance testing and engineering, the final conclusion is using this these engineering activities or using this performance testing activities. So we need to do it before the product is entering to the real time. Okay, for example, the product is entering to the production in our software language. Before the product entering to the live, we need to perform all these activities. This was necessary. Okay, if the product was not done any performance testing, we are not sure that particular product will be stable and it's become a what we can say, good popularity in the market. So the final conclusion is like to ensure the customer satisfaction, or to invest more amount, or to reduce more failures, we can we have to suggest the performance testing. And again, another important one is the cost of performance testing was more, and another was it, if you spend more cost, definitely the improving of customer satisfaction and loyalty retention was definitely more. So that every software company, every product, whatever it will coming from the market, they will comes and definitely do the performance test before going to live. After performance testing only our project or our product will entering into the live. That is the final conclusion of this performance testing. Any doubts in this, all the before slides or whatever I have explained types of testing, why, what, when, and the objective, before going to the POC or software testing lifecycle thing?
Vidya,
Yes, Jyoti.
we need to use this metrics on means.
Sorry, your voice was not at all clear.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes. Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, this metrics can be used by ourselves, or it will be said by the client that we should
No.
use these metrics.
No, we have to give all these metrics, and we need to check all these metrics by ourselves, and we need to
Okay.
provide the recommendations to the client by this metrics. For example, if you have identified like hits per second was more,
Yeah.
for example, so why hits per second is more? At what point of that the hits per second are increasing? We need to analyze all these points aspect, and then due to which reason that hits are increasing, we need to
Okay.
provide the solution to the client. I can
Okay.
yeah, I can say that is the engineering aspect.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And any others, any questions before going to next point? Okay, so we are having different type of tools available for performance testing in the market. Like we are having commercial tools and the open source tools. As you all know that, right? Commercial tools means always licensed tools only. Load runner that was implemented by Mercury. Neoload is also one of the licensed tool only. I got spelling mistake. Yeah. So Neoload also one of the commercial tool. Nowadays, it is also coming more popular nowadays. And another point I would like to include, for example, the load runner cost was very high. If we take an example, 250 rupees for load runner cost, the neo load cost will be 30 rupees. After taking this micro focus, first load runner was implemented by Mercury, and Mercury was sold that to HP, and after HP it was sold to Micro Focus on 2019 December. Okay, so that Micro Focus, after taking that Micro Focus, HV was 100 rupees, but after taking the Micro Focus, the license cost was 250 rupees, but the neo load cost was 30 rupees only. That's the reason nowadays, compared to load runner, neo load also has more demand. Coming days it will become more and more. And we are having another commercial tool, WebLoad, and Load UI Pro, Load Ninja, Loadster, VSTS. VST's TS also similar to like Jmeter. The same features. But this VSTS was mostly used for .NET applications. This is also by Microsoft. Okay, and another thing was Silk Performer. Silk Performer is from Micro Focus. Again, same like Load Runner and Silk Performer are similar. So those two are from Micro Focus only, and National Perform Testing was from IBM. Those are all the commercial tools. So nowadays the popular tools was for commercial tools, Load Runner, Neoload, and VSTS. These are all the three popular commercial tools. And coming to open source tools, as we all know that, right? Apache Jmeter. Apache Jmeter was invented by Apache only. Java, Apache Tomcat. So from Apache was even invented this Apache Jmeter, and whatever the features we have in Load Runner, all the features is there in Jmeter. And another thing, the main advantage with Jmeter is developers can use, functional testers also can use, and we can also performance testers also can use. That is the main advantage with Apache Jmeter. And if you want any difficulty, for example, if you want to see any difficulty in our code, so we can also implement plugins, and we can also add that external plugins in the Jmeter. That is the biggest advantage in the Apache Jmeter. And nowadays in open source tool, Gatling is also one of the demanding tool. Gatling, that is also open source tool, that is also used for scripting and test execution purpose. And another open source tool was like the Grinder, Taurus, K6IO, Locust, Tsung, Artillery. All these other tools are also available in the market, but in open source tool the most demanding was Apache Jmeter and the Gatling. These two are the most demanding nowadays. Apart from Apache Jmeter, Gatling also asking in interviews. So any doubts here about tools before going to next slide? Okay. So the main need of performance testing tools was why we need to use Load Runner or Jmeter, Gatling or VSTS or Neoload, whatever it may be. The main purpose of is using these performance test tools, like simulate the real like browsing the web page. For example, I have entered the www.google.com and flipkart.com, and I need to click on login. And after login, I need to do some actions, right? I need to do some actions, and then I'm going to submit. So all these actions, whoever doing in real time, different users, we can assume that all real time users as a dummy users using these tools, and we can generate the load and we can get the server response times. That is the purpose of using these tools. Any doubts here? Before going to the next slide? Yes. So the load runner, I would like to show you the load runner and Jmeter architecture. I mean the components and architecture. So load runner, we are having three components, as you all know that, right? So VUGen is used for scripting, controller is there, and analysis is there. Okay, these are the three different components available. Okay, so whenever we are executing the tests, okay, we are having an agent mission or load generators, as you all know that, right? Load generators. Why we need load generators means to distribute the load among different servers. Okay, so by these load generators, the load will be pumped to web server, app server, and database server. This is the architecture of load runner. And this is the Jmeter architecture. As you all know that, right? In Jmeter, the main purpose we need to run the test is distribution testing. Distribution testing means we are having one master and remaining are the slave missions. So by using this master slave configuration, we can, excuse me. Yeah. Sorry for interrupt, little network disturbance. So this is the architecture of Jmeter. Jmeter is a one tool. Here there is no other components in Jmeter like load runner. In load runner, scripting one component is there, test executions one component is there, and after test execution, analysis another component is there. But Jmeter, there is no other components, only GUI is there. In that GUI only, we can get all the test results, test executions, and test script creation. Okay, so this is called as a master, and these are all the different slave missions. We can distribute the load among this different servers with uh, with I mean those all the servers will execute together and will publish the results. So in coming classes we can see how to do this testing also. Okay, and
Here, slaves in the sense, servers in the sense, it's an app servers, DB servers, or this kind of servers are different, sir.
no. These are called application servers. For example, I would like to run the 1000 user load test. Okay.
Okay.
Those
Okay.
1000 users will be distributed among three servers again. Okay. So triple three. These users will be distributed among three slave missions, we can call. In load runner, controller, load generators, we can call it as. In
Okay.
load runner language, we can call it as a load generators. In Jmeter, we can call it as a slave missions.
This will be configured in Jmeter itself.
Yes,
Oh,
Jmeter
okay.
master mission. Wherever the
Okay.
master was set up, we can configure there itself. We have to add there.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Any others? Any doubts before going to
Vidya,
next? Yes.
లోడ్ జనరేటర్ ఉంది కదా విద్య, దానికి కూడా లైసెన్స్ అనేది ఇప్పుడు నాకు ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసింటే ఓన్లీ వ్యూజన్ కంట్రోలర్ అనాలిసిస్ వచ్చింది. సో ఇది
అవును.
లోడ్ జనరేటర్ అది ఎప్పుడు ఇన్స్టాల్ చేస్తారు?
Load generators అనేది actual గా whenever we buy the controller as a license. Okay.
ఓకే.
So whenever we buy the controller, that's what the controller will supports only 50 users. Free.
Yes.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
it was more than 50, we need to buy the license. At the time, the client, I mean, the particular micro focus team will provide us the load generators based on our license cost.
ఓకే.
Yeah. There we can add it. Number of load
Oh.
generators. Yeah.
ఓకే.
Any other doubts before going to next slide?
ఇప్పుడు ఈ ట్రైనింగ్ లో మీరు ఇది కాన్ఫిగరేషన్ లో మన మాస్టర్ అండ్ స్లేవ్ కాన్ఫిగరేషన్
I
పెట్టి
will
మనకి
show.
స్క్రిప్ట్ చేంజ్ చేయడం.
Yeah. I will show you. I will run the script and I will show you how the results and how it was distributing.
Okay.
And the main key components in load runner was, as I said, right, VUGen is for scripting. controller is used for executing the test, and load generators is used for to generate the load among the different scripts. For example, you are having 5 scripts and 500 users. Okay, so I would like to use a 5 load generators. We can distribute that 500 users among 5 load generators. Okay, 100 100 100 100 100 like that. So we, for this load generators also, we are having one formula. So how many users particular load generator we need to distribute. Okay, I will explain in coming classes so that you will get more idea. And agent process is, it is the connection between the controller and the load generator. Okay, that is called the agent process. And another component is the analysis. Analysis is used for after running the test, we got the test results, right? So to see that results, we will use the analysis. And by using this analysis component, we can monitor all the data, like how much the response time was, and what is the response time we got, all this information. Any other doubts in this load runner components? So in Jmeter, we are having different types of components like test plan. As you all know that, right? This is also one of the important question in interviews. So in test plan, different elements or components we have. Could you please explain? That it will be asked by the interviewer. So test plan has 3 different types like config elements, listeners, thread groups. And again, thread groups is divided into different parts like controllers. We can add the controllers, config elements, listeners, and samplers. Again, the samplers are divided into different components like assertions, post processors, timers, configuration elements, and listeners. So this is how the overall components of load runner and the Jmeter.
ఇప్పుడు మన ట్రైనింగ్ లో ఇవన్నీ ఎలిమెంట్స్ వాడి చూపిస్తారండి మీరు?
Yes, I will show you all the elements, how to use and where to use.
పోస్ట్ ప్రాసెసర్స్
Yeah. I will show you. Even I will include the bean shell samplers. Yeah. I would like to give as much as depth. Okay. So before going to close our class, any doubts, questions? From tomorrow, I would like to start what is the differences between load runner and Jmeter, and what is the comparison for that is also one of the important question, like what is the comparison between, differences between load runner and Jmeter. Okay, why you suggest this particular load runner only, why you have not suggested the client for Jmeter? All these things we will continue from tomorrow class. After that, we will go with performance testing life cycle, and we can start with POC. How in my real time experience, how I did the POC once a new project will comes. I will explain all that things from tomorrow class. Any doubts, questions, you can ask me now. Please don't feel bad to ask anything, like if I missed any content or if I missed any point, please feel free to ask me. I will cover it. Any doubts, questions before going to
No, Sidya.
okay. So thanks everyone for joining the class, and I will share this video. And as I think my demo always on YouTube, so I don't want to upload the demo again. So please go through my YouTube channel and you can check the demo. And this is the day 1 class. I will create a new mail ID, and I will upload all the video and this particular PPT document in the drive itself, and I will share you the mail ID and password. You can get all the information from there.
Vidya,
Yes. Yes.
Vidya, past the previous చెప్పినప్పుడు వాటర్ ఫాల్ మోడల్ అజైల్ మోడల్ మెథడాలజీ
Yeah.
ఇవన్నీ చెప్పారు కదా, సో అవన్నీ
demo.
కమింగ్ క్లాసెస్ ఉంటాయా అంటే?
Okay, you need it again.
Perform-
Actually, demo I have covered already, Manjunath. So, okay, no problem. Tomorrow class, first of all, I will explain the agile model, waterfall model, and the V model in a little bit more. Compared to demo, I will explain little bit in depth because agile model is everyone asking in the interviews, right? So, I will include that agile model tomorrow, and then we can move to the next steps. Okay, Manjunath, I will cover that in tomorrow class for you. Any others? Anything you want me to add? Yeah. I would like to stop the recording and I would like to stop